Good morning, good morning, good morning to the West Coast. You think after 8 or 9 months I'd have that, right? good, a good what? Good afternoon to the East Coast. Oh my goodness gracious! It is October. How are you? How are you? How are you? Let me see who's showing up this morning. Good morning, Ebony. Good afternoon, depending on where you are. How you doing, family? Community. I'm Jenenne Macklin, transformational speaker, wealth guiding catalyst, and I am on a mission, even more so now, to empower women to develop their own financial confidence so that you can live the life you want, have the money you want, live in the bit of comfort that you choose to live in, and then move toward creating your own sense of wealth. Women are still lagging when it comes to money. We're still making less. We're still making decisions that don't support a future that's going to sustain us and help us feel safe. It's like right now, we've been at this March. So maybe you paid all your bills for March, at least April, May, June, July, August, September, October, 7 months. Were you already prepared not to work for 7 months or not to have income for 7 months? Were you already taking care of yourself to make sure you were okay? That's what I want you to think about. Hey, Jonna. But today I wanted to hop on and ask you, did you take your pulse? How are you doing? How's your heartbeat? Did you take your pulse? And when you take your pulse, I want you to look at several things. The mindset that I want you to have is focusing on you, your self-care. What is your pulse saying? What's your heartbeat saying? Is it in fear? Is it in worry? Is it in fret? What's your heartbeat saying? Is it at some place of peace? In spite of what's going on out there, what's your heartbeat saying? Good morning, Jana Wilson. Where are you? Ebony, where are you? Let me know where you're from. You're the East Coast crew or the West Coast crew? So when you take your pulse, we take our pulse and we listen for it to see if it's beating. First of all, I want you to take your pulse. Now, this is interesting because there's a part of me that thinks, what are you going to measure it against? Because you can't really measure where you are now to where you were this time last year. Last year you were working. Last year you were hustling, I guess. Last year you were making things happen. Last year you were living the life that we were all living back then. Most of us, many of us on automatic pilot, getting things done, going, trying to keep up with the system, trying to keep up with the times, trying to keep up with the holidays, trying to keep up with the sales, trying to keep up with whatever was going on in 2019. So I'm not sure what your measure is going to be. I like that they have pumpkins around. Maybe I'll get some pumpkins. I'm not giving out candy, but the orange is pretty. You want to see it? So your pulse for you. See, they got some pumpkins there, pumpkins over there. It's a cute house, huh? Your pulse. So maybe measure it against where you were when this started. When the pandemic started. This is where I'm walking. I'm in California, in Pasadena. I moved here for the trees. So when this started, maybe last March, measure it against that, and then measure it, let's say March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Maybe look at it again in July and measure yourself so you can take and get a clear sense of your pulse for you. Are you moving further and further away? Are you pretty centered? Or are you just flatlined in a sense? Oh, Johnny, you're in Los Angeles. I get to see you someday then when we can all gather. I want you to measure where you are. I know mine just fluctuated. There was, when it started, it's like, yeah, let's do this. We can do this. It's not going to last that long. March came, April came. Shoot, it's still going on. June, July, doggone it, it's still going on. August, September, hell, how long is this going to go on? Then finally it was just acceptance that this is going to go on until 2021. So we make those shifts. And when you make those shifts, what else do you make a shift for? To be okay with the process. You're being bombarded. I mean, if I had like a piece of paint, some paint and a paintbrush, it'd be like, psh, psh, psh. Constantly things are being thrown at you. Constantly impacting your nervous system, impacting your heart, impacting everything that's running through here, unless you let it move through you and keep on going. But so often things can come and we hold on to them. We hold them tight. We get upset about them. We get mad about them. We take a position about them. And that impacts us and our being and our energy. So I want you to take a pulse because it's just gearing up now. We're heading toward this thing election, we call it. And so you can figure it's going to do this. It's going to keep going, keep going, keep going, and keep going. That's the outer world. But you internally don't have to keep going and going and going on with the world. I have no response yet to the president of the United States, who I say is not doing things the way we think a president could. I have no comment on that. I have no comment on that. I have no comment on it. My pulse stays just like this. I wish him well. I wish whatever God has in store for him, but I want to keep my pulse just like this. I don't look at the news on a consistent basis. I want to keep my pulse just like this. Y'all know I'm out here walking. I can't be consistent getting on the calls because I'm out here walking and looking at the trees and talking to the animals and the birds. It's about my pulse. See, there may seem and feel like there's not much you have control over. There may seem and feel like everything's just in somebody else's hands. But the most valuable thing to you is you. And you have control over that. The most valuable thing to you is right here, right there, you. Touch you, your heart. Your heart, that's the most important thing. So you get to navigate it. You get to decide how disappointed it's going to be, how pissed off it's going to be, how annoyed it's going to be. You get to decide how much of that energy you're going to take on every single moment of every day. It's more prevalent in awareness now than it was probably in October 2019, when many of us were living on automatic pilot, just making sure we were checking the box and living life and calling that being happy. Well, now we have some different boxes to check to call being happy. We have different things to do to be happy. And that's the way life is. It's constantly evolving. And from March until now, we have been called to evolve. Evolve in our thinking, evolve in our actions, evolve in our behaviors, and evolving our heart to transform it and open it up more to the truth of who we are, which is we're all one. Now, we struggle with that. America struggles with that. Because America, as far as it's concerned, we are America. Forget a one. Which sounds so crazy. But anyway, this is the truth. So when you're taking your pulse today, just take a moment to just stop. Just a moment, because I don't need you to stay there. If you look back and say, okay, that's the way life was 2019, 2018, what was I doing? When you look at what your New Year's resolutions were, when you look at your complaints back then, when you look at how you were living life and how you felt, how fulfilled you felt in it, or were you thirsty because you weren't getting your needs met? Or were you thirsty because you weren't living your goals? Were you thirsty because you weren't doing the things that you told yourself you were going to do? So you were letting yourself down. 2018, 2019. Now let's turn to 2020. Where basically the universe has dropped your life in your whole lap. You live your life. You make the decisions you're going to make. You decide how much water you're going to drink. You decide how much health you're going to get, because you can't go anywhere. You can't go to the gym. You can't party. You can't go out. You decide the quality of your life. You take a pulse every single day and decide how you're going to live your life moment to moment. Now, many people are looking back saying, well, God, in 2018, I did this. God, I wish I could go back there. 2019, I did this. That was easy then. It was easy because you're an automatic pilot. And when you come to 2020, 20 says, you know what? You decide. So take your pulse. Measure today where you are, what you're thinking, what you're feeling, how you're moving through your life, what you care about in your life, what you give gratitude and appreciation for in your life. Take your pulse. Where you've made, sound weird, huh? Pulse. Where you've made some shifts and changes in your relationship to other people, and what you think about other people, and how you feel about other people, regardless of the color of their skin. Take your pulse. Wow, do I see a beautiful sky behind us? We finally got back to a decent sky from our fires. Nice. Because nobody can do that for you. And then when you take the pulse, if you're like, okay, well, I want to be here, but I'm really over here, then you get to make an adjustment. Nobody else is going to make that adjustment for you but you. So you have to take the pulse. How conscious are you in your life? How present are you in your life? How much are you making decisions that you can make right now in your life for your own happiness? You get to be happy in the midst of the storm. It's not sad, depressed for the next 6, 7, 8 months. You get to be happy in the midst of the storm. But the difference now is we have to be conscious of that and making that happen. Before, it maybe just seemed like it kind of happened because everything was on automatic pilot, going to work and saw your friends and saw your clients, because I had clients. You saw your family. You just did the same thing over and over. But some of that was a little bit unconscious. And what this has called us to do is to be more conscious than we've ever been in our lives. Oh, that's cute. They did that on their floor or their driveway. Well, those are nice flowers too. You get to do that. You're the one that's the captain of this ship. You're the one. And see, here's the thing. You always were the captain of the ship. But it was so easy because there was so much going on that you may have forgotten. You call the shots in your life. You decide. I decide this morning if I'm going to get up and make a walk. I decide if I'm going to put on my mask. I got it in my hand. Don't worry. I decide how much water I'm going to drink. I decide how pissed off I want to get at the person who's supposed to be in charge that we don't think is in charge. I decide how much I'm going to get upset about Breonna Taylor or whatever is going on in this world. I decide that, and you do too. So take your pulse. Take your pulse. What's the consciousness that you're living in? For those of you who are anywhere like me and know the law of attraction, trust and believe in the law of attraction, what's your consciousness? What's the consciousness you're holding while we go through this transformation? I always liken it to the caterpillar and the butterfly. Life has already showed us we were a caterpillar. We've been inside and now we're becoming a butterfly. And it doesn't feel good. Inside that chrysalis is tight. We have to break ourselves out of the old thinking and the old ways of being and the old way of doing things and be willing to take our wings and fly. But you got to take your pulse to see where you are on the journey. You got to take your pulse because you're the only ones that can do that. Nobody else can do that for you. Only you can do that. Only you can make that happen. And you know, it's funny, when we're growing up, we're always talking about, or maybe I was, when I grow up, I'm going to do this. When I grow up, I'm going to do that. And now we all grown up. It's like, could somebody else make the decisions for us? I'm tired. No, my loved ones, you get to make that decision. Each moment of every day, you get to decide. And of course, because this is what we call an election year, you will have an impact in making decisions about what may or may not be happening on a greater scale, which of course many of us don't think matters because of the electoral college and the popular vote. So it's like, why even do it? But still, it's the exercise we get to participate in. So I'm just reminding you this morning that take your pulse. Yours personally, not your families, not the children, not any, just you. How are you? Are you impatient? Are you worried? Are you frantic? Are you just moving through life knowing again that this is just part of the process? This world, America, has been through these types of things before. If we go back in history, we know this has happened before. So now it's simply a matter of how we're going to take care of this and this, our head and our heart, while we go through the process. And not just think about only ourselves, but also be willing to think about others. Look at this house. Isn't that just a perfect Christmas tree for those of you who may be Christian and do Christmas trees? Isn't that just perfect? If I had that at home, I would just decorate it and call it a day. Put some gifts under there that look like they're empty and call it a day. So that's what I want you to do today, is begin to, okay, turn around. Take your pulse. Where are you? How are you doing? How are you feeling? Now, I thought I'd be back home by now because I also wanted to say, yay! Uh-oh. The phone didn't go along with my yay. Okay. I got my ballot today. I got my ballot today. I got my ballot today. So you can't tell me you can't be a part of voting. I got my ballot today. First time ever I'm going to do mail-in. Although I honestly think I'm going to take it to the polls on the 30th. I just like walking in the polls. I've done it all my life. I just like walking in the polls. Putting it in the mail says to me, I'm not sure is it going to get there? What might happen to it? So, but I got mine. Did you get yours? If not, look for your ballot. First time ever I decided to do mail in because I just wasn't sure about the polls. But I also thought there was only one day to vote. I didn't realize there's like, here it starts on the 30th. So the packet said the 30th, the 31st, the 1st, the 2nd, and 3rd. There's 5 days to vote. 5 days. So now that I know that, and now that I know that I can take my absentee ballot or vote by mail ballot actually to the polls, that's what I'm going to do. I just like the process. I like standing in line. My ancestors stood in line, even though they couldn't vote sometimes. Even a couple of years ago, I think Jesse Jackson had to bring some voting booths because they didn't have enough in Atlanta. I just still like the possibility that we have, and maybe one day it'll get better, that, this is my street, that it's not rigged and people aren't concerned about what is or isn't happening with it. But I got my ballot, I got my ballot, I got my ballot. So it is what it is. You know, no use of being upset about it. You got the popular, we have the electoral vote. We will have to change that over the next 8 years. That's just the way it goes. But in the meantime, take your pulse. Let me know how you're doing. How's life? How are you taking care of your consciousness? Do you recognize you're connected to something bigger than all that's happening right here on the planet Earth? There's that blue horse again. Do you realize you're connected to something that's breathing your breath and beating your heart? I was up last night, crazy, looking at something on Apple TV called The Tiny World. And it was showing me all the little animals, like the ants and the look like frogs, but they're up in the trees. But anyway, those things, and the lizards, and what was that little thing? Looked like a mouse. All of that, and how I thought, man didn't create that. See, that's what gives me something bigger. We keep looking at things thinking, oh, man created that, man created that. Man didn't create animals. Man didn't create the seed that turns into an acorn or to a tree. Man didn't create the sun that shines. Man didn't create, what else did I see on there? All these little bitty, the ants and what they do. And what was that, midget? It was some kind of, it looked like a badger. And how they team up. It was so amazing to watch them, because in order to make sure they don't get eaten by the larger animals, they do everything together, and they live inside these holes, and they sleep on each other to stay warm. So while the other animals are so cold, they sleep on each other. I thought, wow, what if we could get along like that? But we can't. But it was just reminding me that there is a power that's bigger and greater than the circumstances we find ourselves in. And that is the power that keeps the ocean, that keeps the streams, that keeps the rivers, that keeps and creates the mountains, the snow, all of that. Man can't create snow. So when we get so caught up in man, we need to put man in his place. Man cannot create snow. Sheriff's cars are out here. Man cannot create the water that comes out of the waterfalls. Man didn't create that. Man cannot create the little ants. They showed me a beetle. That's what it was. And the beetle turned backwards and used its back legs to push and roll this stuff up that was going to be its food. I'm like, shut the front door. Man can't do that. So get really clear in your own mind and your own consciousness of what's bigger than what you see showing up on TV, and what's bigger than what's happening in this world. And at any point, there's a part of you that says, oh, I can't make it. We're not going to be able to do it. Tell it to shut up. Tell it that's not true. That's what you say. Well, maybe you can say be quiet. But that's not true. There is a power that continues, if I haven't done it lately, to make this process happen. How does a flower end up with 2 colors if that's not something bigger and greater than us? And it keeps happening. Whether we're in a protest, whether there's a fight going on, whether there's an election going on, no matter what, that continues to happen and unfold. As long as that happens, I got faith in possibilities. I can hold on to possibilities, and it makes everything kind of fit into its place. There's something bigger than the election and the president and the racism and all the lies that have been told and the killings and the murders and all of that. There's something bigger. And when you can hook yourself onto something bigger and hold on to it, hold on to it no matter what you see showing up in this world. Hold on to it no matter what seems to be happening contrary to the way you thought it was going to be. Just hold on to that. That flower I showed you with 2 colors, whatever presence of power created that and created the seed for that to manifest, part of that's inside of you. Hold on to that no matter what. So take your pulse. See where you are on the scale of, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do, to I'm going to live in happiness and joy no matter what's showing up. And I know some of you may know people, they don't have a place to live. They're losing their homes. They're struggling. Well, when you know what you know, like you know about that rose, then you take them in your prayer and pray for resources for them, solutions for them, that answers unfold for them, that guidance comes to them easily and effortlessly, and that if any way you can support and help them, the universe will let you know how to do that. That's what you hold on to. You don't get to get hopeless. You don't get to give up. Long as there's a rose looking like that with 2 different colors in it, and you didn't create it and no man on this planet created, you get to hold on to something that's bigger than everything that we're facing right now, and know that it's there and it's present. Every time you look at a blade of grass, you can say, okay, something's bigger than me that's taking care of things. Every time the waves go out and they come back in, there's something bigger than you that's taking care of everything. Every time you can just simply go, let me get my, you can take a deep breath. You can know there's something bigger than you. How many times do you go and nothing comes in? Huh? How many times you do that and there's no air out here for you to breathe into your lungs? That doesn't happen, right? Unless you maybe have asthma. So that's what I want you to hook your sail onto. You know, SAIL, hook it onto that. But take your pulse. Do not get dragged under with all this stuff that's going on with the media, with everything, and even that we see happening around us. You know, if you're a history buff, go back and look in the days. You can go back and look at Hitler. You can go back and look at the genocide. You can go back and look at all of it. And yet we're still here. Raggedy country sometimes, great people most of the time. But that's just where we are. We're evolving. We're growing. And sometimes we do it better on some days than on other days. Take your pulse. See where you are. See what's going on. Hi, Tanya Wilson. How are you? See what's going on. See what you need. Is your pulse right where it's supposed to be? Is your pulse fast because you're in worry and fear? Because even, see, the thing about being in worry and fear, you still can't get the answers that you need to make your next steps. So that's why worry and fear doesn't serve you. So take your pulse. Now, I guess I should do that too. Some say, well, Jenenne, after they take their pulse, then what do they do? Okay, so if you're worried, frustrated, number one, write down what you're worried about. I'll just give you what comes to me. Write down what you're worried about. I'm worried that the world's going to come to an end. I'm worried more black people are going to die. I'm worried more black women are going to die. I'm worried the COVID is real and all of us are going to die. Whatever it is you're worried about. I'm not worried about anything in this moment right now. Write it down. Get those crazy thoughts out your head. Put them on a piece of paper. And then as you look on the paper, you can say to yourself, okay, well, if that happened, what would I do? If this happened, what would I do? Then come up with your scenarios about what you would do. But take those crazy thoughts out of your head, going around and around and around, worrying you, because that's all worry is thoughts. The next thing I'd say do is go do something completely opposite of what you're feeling. If you're sad, go to a parking lot and break up some dishes, some old dishes. If you don't, tow away, no parking. If you don't need them, go break up some dishes. Go take them to a parking lot and throw them and break them. So you can get that energy moving, get the anger out, the disappointment, the frustration, get that out. Get yourself back on pulse. Your marriage is struggling these days because of whatever you're home more than it used to be. Take those dishes and break some dishes so that you can get the feeling out. Or if you're athletic at all, you know what to do. Go run, go exercise, go lift some weights to move it out. Don't just sit there with it. Then the next thing I want you to do is write down what you're in gratitude and appreciation for. Not just gratitude. We use that word so much that it's just a word. You know, I'm thankful for this, I'm thankful for that. But what do you appreciate about life? What do you appreciate about your life? What do you appreciate about every single moment that you're able to live? What do you appreciate about those who make you laugh, that you talk to on the phone or in your household? Make a list of at least 15 things or that you're in gratitude for, that you're grateful for. It could be little things. Write those down and see if those 4 steps won't help you move in taking your pulse. Okay? So that's what I got for today. I made it back home. So I don't know what yours looks like. I'll show you mine. It's the first time I got it. I know, I'm just like a big old kid, right? Oh, here it is. Here's one. This came to the wrong address, so I'm really concerned now. But I was like, what do you do when you get the wrong one? But I put it out here like everything else. Ta-da! That's what it looks like. Ta-da! Ballot to vote by mail. Ta-da! Woo, 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 woo. So, anyway, look for yours. If you don't have it, look for it. Even if it doesn't come, know you can always be at the polls. Please do not wait until the day of voting like we used to do, or at least like I did. There are at least 4 days. Hi, neighbor. Hi, drummer. How are you? Good to see you. He's a drummer and my son's a pianist. Hey, baby. Hey. Oh, really? Great. Have a good day. She looked like she about 1 or 2. Bye. Take your pulse. I know my neighborhood a little bit more than I did, in January. You probably know yours too. The ballots are coming. Be on the lookout for them. Find out now where you're supposed to go and vote. Look at the propositions now. I'm sure yours are different than mine, depending on where you live. Do it in advance now. We don't get to play around with this. If you're struggling between who to vote for, I get it. I have said quite honestly, I'm not as crazy about Biden and Kamala, and certainly I'm not as crazy about Trump and Pence. The only thing about Trump is at least I know what he's going to do because he's been doing it now for 4 years. And he's an actor, so you can pretty much tell what he's going to do because actors do certain things a certain way. Whereas, Biden and Kamala are politicians. You have to make some peace around that. I can't tell you what to do or not do because the electoral vote and the popular vote, it is what it is. I'm just saying to you, go vote. Exercise the right. We exercise our rights to do everything else, so let's exercise our right to vote, okay? It's Monday. Take your pulse. Make sure you're doing okay. Get what you need. If it's some more sleep. I'm getting so tired of getting up early. I finally learned how not to get out the bed at 7 and go walk, or at 6. But I still do it because it helps me get my day going. If I don't, I just stay around and do nothing all day. So get clear on what works for you, what you need to shift, what you need to change, what makes you smile, where you need some places to rest, your self-care. What's your self-care? What's your self-care? What's your self-care? We used to get massages, can't get massages anymore. So what's your self-care? Is it exercise? Is it sleep? Is it a shot of whiskey every once in a while? Is it some other kind of things that helps you relax? What's your self-care? Be mindful of it, what you need, and make sure you're taking care of you. Okay? Okay, and that's all I got for today, is take your pulse. We taking temperatures all the time. Mine was 97.3. Before I walked out, you take your pulse. How's your heart? Remember I said a long time ago, it's a health crisis and it's a heart crisis. How's your heart? Okay. Janet's saying, protect your barcode. Okay, this wasn't even mine, so that's good to know. This is somebody else's who's no longer living here. This woman's mail been coming since I've been here 13 years. But thank you. Mine's is on my table. So protect your barcode, like she said, so nobody else is using it. Take good care. Have a great day. I don't know what we're doing today, but it feels warm out here. I think we're going up to the 90s. But at least the sun isn't shining on this first thing this morning. Take good care. Ladies, I'm inviting you to www.JenenneMacklin.com. There's an audio on there, just a simple audio, healing your relationship with money. If you want to make some shifts and changes with money, if you want to at least have some different thoughts about money and begin to understand money in a different kind of way, that probably will be of support to you. I think it will. I created it just for you. I may or may not be having a challenge coming up because there's so much going on in October. I can't imagine people are thinking about any kind of challenge or too much of anything like that consistently. But of course, I'll let you know here. Otherwise, I haven't even done any workshops or anything really because people are so distracted. But I may do a couple of things. If you're on my email list, you'll know about them. You'll get a email notice to join the call and hop on with me. Once a month, I do a prosperity prayer. I'll do that prayer another couple of weeks on a Thursday night or Thursday afternoon in case you want to be a part of that. But we'll talk before then. Until then, take good care. Take your pulse. See how you're doing. See how your heart's doing. See how your health's doing. Bye for now. Too late now, huh? I'll see you Wednesday.